And we're recording live here with the Zach Johnson from Louisiana. I forgot what town you said.
Winsboro. Yeah, little town.
How far is that from New Orleans?
A ways, about 4.5 hours. Yeah, northeast corner. So everybody asks that question.
You have a very distinct accent.
Yeah.
So I saw Zach. We've never met, and I saw you posting on Instagram, and you were down over 100 pounds.
Yeah, as of the day I posted that, I was down 125 pounds total, which is pretty exciting for me. Through a combination of things, including CrossFit and Own Your Eating. So.
Well, what was cool is, you posted that, and we get tagged in a lot of stuff, and I'm like, all right, they may have seen something. So I reached out to you, and you're like, no, I've been doing your program.
Yeah, I'm a member. You were on the CrossFit podcast.
Correct.
Back in March of this year. And I heard you on there, bought your book, and ended up signing up as a member. But I started following the program that day.
So you obviously had lost some weight prior to then, but
yeah, I'd lost about 60 pounds since May of the previous year on Whole30, which is supposed to be 30 days, and then it ended up, I stuck with it a long time. The problem was about November of 17, I hit a plateau, and so for 4 months between November and March, like I didn't lose a pound. And then switched to Own Your Eating in March of 18, and I've lost another 65 pounds since then. So
that's pretty cool. So I mean, nothing against Whole30. I've known Melissa, the founder, for a very long time, and I think there's a lot of great reasons to do it. But as you realized, it's challenging to do for a long period of time.
Right.
And B, at some point you might plateau.
Yeah, so that was the biggest thing, is that it's so restrictive, and I needed that at one time, but it became like I was carb phobic. So just at some point it became where I was like so fat heavy and carb low that like I wasn't performing well in the gym. I started CrossFit at 360 pounds. I mean, that was my highest weight. That's when I started Whole30, and I lost about 60 pounds, but I mean, it just, for months and months, my performance went down, and what you said on the CrossFit podcast made a lot of sense to me, and so yeah, my gym performance is way better, actually. I've got my first competition lined up in November, so I'm pretty excited about that.
What box do you go to?
CrossFit Winsboro, which is here in Winsboro, Louisiana. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really awesome. Tell me about what it was like making that transition. We get a lot of people that are super strict and, like you said, carb phobic. What was it like making that transition from that I can't eat carbs are bad for me, to our mindset of no, carbs aren't bad. The right amount of carbs is okay.
It was a challenge, and at first it was really a struggle. It was good in a way because I missed carbs really bad. But once I was able to kind of get in line with, for my macros, I get right about 200 grams of carbs a day. I was probably getting 30 to 50 maybe before. So it's a big increase, but I mean, almost immediately within a week or two, I realized my endurance in the gym was way better. Seen a lot of gains. The really interesting thing, I think, from my perspective, is that I've continued to lose weight. So I've lost about 65 more pounds, but I haven't sacrificed any strength. So I've been able to maintain. There's been times where it's been slow gaining strength, but I haven't lost any strength or muscle mass, which is a huge bonus for me. So
you basically quadrupled your carbs. You felt an improvement in the box, which imagine that you need carbohydrates for athletic performance. What was your first meal, or what were your first carbohydrates that you were like, okay, I heard this guy on the podcast, I'm trusting him, I'm going to do this?
Oh man, I wish it was something exciting, but it was actually overnight oats.
Hey, but it probably tasted amazing after no carbs yet.
Yeah, it was so good. I was like, because my biggest struggle, I have to be at work pretty early. I'm a really early riser. And my biggest struggle was always trying to put together some kind of breakfast. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna kind of set myself up now that the doors are open a little bit to try some new things. And I still eat really clean. Actually, when I signed up for the program, I did the 80-20 sort of meal plan. So I'm still pretty much a clean eater because that's really ingrained in there. I have a lot of oh man, so much of it's getting your head right, at the end of the day. So I have a lot of stuff still that I'm figuring out. But anyway, so I still kind of stay away from a lot of processed foods and boxed things, and but it's really nice to have some flexibility. And that's the thing I felt like I missed out on a lot before, was there was no spontaneity to a night out, or everything had to be so structured around, was I going to have the right kind of food available to me at all times? And the flexibility has been a huge.
Yeah, something positive about the Whole30 is it is black and white, so you can look at food and be like, I can or can't eat that. But by that same token, it's very restrictive, where you can be out somewhere, and if it's only foods you can't eat on this, what are you going to do?
Right, and really for just a personal thing that, I mean, a lot of people may not relate to, but it made a huge impact in my deal, was my daughter. So I started with On Your Eating in March, and then in April, my daughter was actually admitted to the hospital with pretty serious illness. She was in the PICU for about 3 weeks, and there were not, obviously, in a hospital setting, I lived there for 3 weeks. There are no real Whole30. I mean, that stuff's not available. And luckily, things work out right. I had transitioned, and I was able to actually follow an eating plan with On Your Eating throughout that, and able to lose weight or maintain in a really stressful situation. Whereas before, I'm a little bit of an emotional eater, and if I had strayed from that Whole30 because it was impossible to do in that situation, it would have been over. And I probably would have came out of that 3 weeks 10 pounds heavier. So for me personally, that's a huge add to my life,
No, that's really awesome. And I think that's a big asset to what we do, in the sense that you're right. Like, that time period could have been basically a complete opportunity to go back to where you were. And instead, a stressful time doesn't have to mean your diet is off the rails.
Right.
And even a little bit of leeway or flexibility, which is exactly, I'm sure every day for those 3 weeks weren't perfect.
Right.
But it's better than what you would have done if you were just like, whatever, I can't eat good, so I'm going to just eat all the junk food.
Yeah, everything from the vending machine.
So now that you've been on it, have you enjoyed any type of food that you would have typically deprived yourself of?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was at an event not that long ago, and so cheesecake is like my sin food. I'm so weak when it comes to that. I can pass so many sweets. But anyway, I was able to like rationalize, like I could have a piece, and instead of it being like a all or nothing, no break situation, I'm like, all right, I'm going to make this fit in my macros. It's a little bit of reward for me. Structure the rest of my day around it. So that was pretty nice. I try not to do that too much, but every once in a while. So.
But it's nice to know that when you want to, you can.
Exactly. That's the thing, is the freedom to make good choices, is a huge component for me of this program.
So when you were 125 pounds heavier, what were you doing?
Man, I ask myself that question a lot. I don't think it's a quantity. Well, that's probably wrong. It's got to be a quantity issue. like a family size bag of Doritos is not a snack size bag. But you know, I think a lot of it is quality. And then I was probably extremely I was then extremely carb heavy, very processed, you know, fast food a lot, um, quick and easy. I mean, we had young kids, and I've always been, you know, I'm 6 foot tall. I'm not a huge tall guy, but I'm kind of got a large frame, and so I've always been like I don't know what, a lot of people like we're from the country, so corn fed or whatever, you know, like I've always been kind of a bigger guy, and it's easy to, you know, as you get older, I'm 34, so it's like turning that corner when you should be focusing on things, and you eat the same way, and it's easy to get out of control. And you know, I have the biggest thing for me is I got on antidepressants, so I struggle a little bit with some anxiety and depression. And not that antidepressants are bad. I would never tell anybody not to take them if you need them, for sure. But you know, I think that it's like something about that process really sort of took the brakes off for me. And so throughout this transition, you know, I've been able to get off of that, and really I use CrossFit for antidepressant now for the most part, you know.
That's awesome to hear that. I mean, you can use exercise, you know, for not just physical strength, but mental strength as well.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So what was that moment for you when you said, all right, I need to make a change?
So, I mean, it's the cliche, I guess, but so for 2016, 2017, I was president of our local Chamber of Commerce. And actually, we had an induction ceremony, and the newspaper printed photos. And it's one of those things where it's like when you only take pictures of yourself from the shoulders up, and you know, you can rationalize anything in your own mind, really, but seeing that full body like photo on the front page of the newspaper, it just really impacted me. That doesn't, like, I didn't recognize that as myself, and knowing that, you know, 10,000 other people were seeing that same photo it was a bad day. It was a pretty bad day.
So it was like this great day, but at the same time, in your mind, it's this terrible day because.
Yeah, and it made me realize that I allowed my weight and physical appearance to really inhibit me from a lot of opportunities. I mean, 125 pounds ago, I would never have talked to somebody on, you know, this way. I mean, I'm trying not to fan out too much because I follow you guys all the time. But anyway, you know, I never would have done that. And I realized that I was hiding a lot of things that were going on up here behind that weight, and really allowing it to inhibit my life in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm a fairly successful person. I've never not been ambitious and tried to achieve, but just on a personal level, you know, I really felt like it impacted my life in a negative way, and that was just sort of the like wake up call, you know.
So obviously, you've probably had tons of moments inside the gym, things that you weren't able to do, from an air squat to, you know, types of pull-ups. We don't have to go into, what's that?
No, go ahead.
Well, give me something in the gym first. Let's start there. What are some, like, what was, when you first walked into CrossFit, was that right away as well? Was that like, I'm making this change, I'm joining CrossFit Winsboro?
So, yeah, essentially, I mean, the owner of our affiliate is actually a friend of mine. Her husband works with me. He's actually my boss, but anyway. So I actually had done some workouts with her from before she had a box. I mean, she started CrossFit Winsboro at the park here, and back in those days, like, I got into paleo and I'd lost some weight, so I started doing some of that. But as I gained weight, I wouldn't go to the gym because I felt, even though it's totally not what our box is, and but I felt insecure, and I felt like there's this 350 plus pound dude over here trying to do this, and, you know, every once in a while, like, they'll video something in the gym, and I'd see. So so I had done CrossFit before back in like 13, and I knew that was going to be part of it. I knew when I decided. I mean, I had never, I was the guy at home. Like some guys are at home watching football games and dreaming about the day they're going to be doing football, and I'm watching the CrossFit games with my gallon of ice cream, like nerding out about Matt Frazier. Anyway, so I knew that'd be part of it, and it was a challenge. I mean, I've always been. I would never have in my previous life, I guess, called myself athletic, but I have the ability to learn the movements, and I can move well. And but still, I mean, going and doing a medicine ball clean and wanting to cry, or looking at a box jump and thinking there is no way that I'm hoisting myself up on this box, and realizing that I'm a guy in my early 30s doing a step up onto a plate. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's also been a driver for me.
So we're there. Now, that's awesome stuff in the gym. Have you accomplished anything outside of the gym that in the past, like you were like, you've resigned yourself to, I'm this heavy guy and I can't do that anymore?
I mean, just the probably normal weird stuff that nobody thinks about. I mean, I can go in American Eagle and buy jeans. You know what I mean? That may not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, but it was actually a pretty emotional moment for me, because I got to a point where it's like, I had to order online because they didn't carry my size in the store. And which, I mean, I never got into crazy huge sizes because of the way I carry weight, but it was still big enough that, I'm in a 34 now, which I was in a 44 a year ago. You know what I mean? Which is nuts. And to me now to look back. And so like those kind of things were exciting moments that probably don't mean a lot to a lot of people, but they mean something to you if you're the person that feels normal. I just felt like I didn't fit in the world.
Hey, no, I think a lot of people, I can't empathize or sympathize with a 44, but I know when I was a 34 and I felt like, all right, this is big. I think everybody has that moment, whether it's women, they get to that 12 or 16, and you took it to the next level, certainly. But you also, now you brought it down to a 34. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's been the impact on your family?
It's been pretty big, actually. I think, now my wife and my daughter, my oldest daughter is 15. So we actually all CrossFit together. I mean, like they're all in the gym with me. I do all of our food prep, so everybody's kind of eating with me. And, it's been really positive. It's been good. We instilled some bad habits, I think, in our kids before. So it's been a really good process to turn that around.
That's awesome. 15, you got started pretty young.
Yeah, so we were in college, and how these things happen. I don't know if we actually have 3 kids. I always tell people I don't know if I'm a slow learner or overachiever, but anyway.
3 kids, and from 15 to what?
11.
Okay, so you kept it going after college.
Yeah, I mean, we got married and all that stuff and just did the normal. I know for here it's not abnormal, which I don't know what that says about our good Southern culture, but anyway.
I agree. For there, it's pretty typical. So you prior to that, I mean, at what point were you resigned to being the big guy? Like, was that something you had your entire life, or did that happen in college? Like for me, college was a period where I gained weight. What was it like for you? Like how long have you been overweight?
So, I mean, really, essentially, probably my entire life, from high school. It kind of happened in junior high, and then it was just always fluctuations. Like, I was always the short guy, and then I put on weight, and then I grew a lot and slimmed down, and then, it just always happened like that. I mean, in high school, I thought I was pretty fat, and I look back now, and I'm like, dang, you were just like just a couple of ab workouts away from not being too bad. So anyway, but really after we got pregnant and had our oldest daughter, and then I had to go to work, and we made those kind of changes, and it just starts you on this kind of road of everything's just about getting to the next day, and that's really when it started, probably my early 20s.
So, I mean, your father, married, 3 kids, real job. A lot of people tell us, like, hey, I just don't have the time for this. What would you say, what would be your response? A buddy of yours is like, I don't have the time to do that, Zach. And then B, how much time do you think it takes you on a daily basis?
Right. So I actually have had this a little bit because we've done a couple of nothing heavy, but just like discussions in the box about macros and getting people going on that kind of stuff. And so the deal is, I think you have time for what you want to have time for. So it's a priority issue. I mean, not to downplay anybody's busyness, but I work a full-time job. I manage a business, 50 hours a week. I'm in the gym 5 hours a week. I have a wife and 3 kids who are really active. I'm on 3 different boards around town. So busy is my thing, and I like to be busy. And I'm actually in college trying to finish my bachelor's degree at this moment. So I mean, busy is a real thing, and I think it's just an excuse. I suck at meal prep. I'm not gonna lie about that. I mean, I tell people all the time, if you can prep several days in advance. I do mine a couple of days in advance. I can't think too much longer than that. But it's really about how bad you want it. And I think at some point you get uncomfortable enough, you make a change. It's everybody just wants everything to be easy, and it's not. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it is. But the beginning is always the worst. Once you get used to it, you just roll with it. And we're creatures of habit. So, I eat like the same 10 foods over and over again. I think most people do that, whether they realize it or not. And once you get past that new, I promise you, Whole30 was way harder than this. This is easy to acclimate into your everyday life.
So, with that being said, how much time do you think it takes you every day if you had to put a number on it?
Oh, if I had to put a number on it now, it probably takes me, it's not that long. It's, if you take out like actual time of food preparation, less than 30 minutes a day, 15 or 20 minutes, and I'm pretty much deciding for the day. So I make my plan for the day. I'm like, this is what I'm going to eat, and then I just follow my MyFitnessPal at the appropriate times and eat. It's so not complicated.
I agree.
People want it to be complicated, but it's really not.
They want to have an excuse not to do it.
I think so. I did, so I think so, but it's really not.
All right, so you're 125 pounds down. Do you still want to lose more weight?
Yeah, so I'm about, it's become less about a number and more about some other fitness goals that I have. Essentially, probably if I had to pick a number, I want to lose about 25 more pounds for my frame. I think rocking around 200 is where I'll need to be, and for the performance that I want to hit. I'm going to carry that kind of muscle. I want to pull up really bad. I can do so many other things, but I cannot do a strict pull up, and I think that's just still a little bit of a body weight issue. And I'm working with my coach on some other specific things, but probably like 25 pounds if I had to put a number on it.
Awesome. And no doubt you'll get there. Are you still just losing weight slowly and steadily?
Yeah, it's averaging. I've averaged about 10 pounds a month, which is about 2 to 2.5 pounds a week. I tell people all the time when they ask me, that may be high for some people. For me, that is I think it's a healthy, slow and steady number, but I just don't always caution people to have number expectations. I'm sure you do.
I think, and I think that's true. It's, the heavier you are, the faster you're going to lose. But, 10 pounds a month, 2 pounds a week is perfect. Because like you've said in the past, you fluctuated. No more fluctuations. This is the last time.
That's the goal. And as you know, when you're working out, CrossFit puts muscle on you. You know, muscle burns more calories even at rest. So get some strength training in, and that'll help. That'll help.
So, with all that being said, what's your goal at the box? Do you want to do a pull-up? Any other? You said you have a competition coming in November.
Yeah, and I'm doing the scaled version, which is cool. I have a partner. We're gonna go do a little team thing. I don't have any big, huge, crazy goals right now. I mean, I want to get strict pull-ups. That's a big thing that's eluding me right now. I want to get over 350 on my deadlift. That's kind of like a little goal right now. I mean, that's the only number of things I've got right this minute.
Yeah. What about taking your CrossFit level 1?
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it's one of those things. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm interested. It's just like starting CrossFit, I think, because it's always like people are like, oh, I have to get this in shape to start CrossFit. I think I have that mental block that like I have to be at this level before I can do that. But yeah, it's definitely something that's in the cards. It's kind of my 2019 goal. So.
I think that's good. I always tell people, everything is scalable. You'll be just fine at the seminar. You'll be great, but you also have to go when you feel confident and ready. Yeah. So that's awesome. Well, we've been excited. As soon as I saw your picture, like I said, it's really exciting for me. We work with a lot of people, that wind up working with one of our coaches, but it's cool to see that we have an impact on people that we don't even realize.
Right. Yeah.
So I appreciate you hopping on this call with me, and we look forward to watching you on your journey and finding out how this competition goes next month.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for reaching out. Just keep doing what you do. It makes a difference.
Well, thank you very much. All right, I meant to